Thank you, honourable members. We now turn to item 2 on our order paper, questions for oral answer. And given the number of people attending by teams, there are some significant changes to the order paper, so please listen out. Mr Glover's questions will be converted to written answer. Mr Moorhouse's questions to the Department of Infrastructure will be held over till next week. Mr Thomas's questions will be held over. Mr Wannenberg's questions will be held over. Dr Hayward's question number 1 will be held over to next week, and question 4 to December Tynwald. And that, if my calculations work out right, leaves us with questions number 2 and 10 to take this morning. So with that, I call on Mr Moorhouse, the Honourable Member for Arbory, Castletown, Malew, to ask question number 2, please.
There's 9 as well. Thank you, Mr Speaker. I would like to ask the Chief Minister how the entry channels at the ports are assessed for aesthetic appeal.
You'll call on the Chief Minister to reply.
Mr Speaker, the primary responsibility with regards to the entry channels at ports is to ensure that they are functional and meet the necessary legal requirements, and as such they are not routinely assessed for aesthetic appeal.
Supplementary question, Mr Moorhouse.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm aware that the Chief Minister has been away relatively recently, so he's actually in a good position to answer and think about this supplementary question. What's your current thoughts on the current antiquated, unattractive and untidy environment that visitors see and really get hit by as they enter and leave the island?
Chief Minister to reply.
So, Mr Speaker, there is ongoing planned and reactive maintenance being undertaken as part of the programme identified and scheduled as required for the entry points to the island. The Department of Infrastructure is working with other departments to consider and enhance the visitor experience at the Sea Terminal building, and a capital funding bid for modernisation of passenger facilities at the Sea Terminal building has been submitted to the Treasury for 2022-2023, which will be considered as part of the budget process.
Further supplementary, Mr Moorhouse.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and thank you, Minister. Over the past 20 years, there's been a significant amount of money spent improving the centres of towns and villages across the island, but no funds appear to be allocated to improving the gateways to the island. The Chief Minister has implied something may happen, but it really needs to be in terms of what the place looks like. And also, in the 2019 budget, you were able to allocate £2.1 million to the Airport Technology Gateway. Thank you. The plans are now being developed. A significant proportion of these funds will be allocated to improving the key area between the Airport Technology Gateway and the airport. When will this actually happen?
Chief Minister.
So, Mr Speaker, this project, the Airport Technology Gateway, is a matter for the Department for Enterprise and the Department for Infrastructure, and I note that this was discussed in depth at last week's House of Keys. However, subject to planning and further funding approval, the Airport Technology Gateway is planned to start construction on its initial phase in Q2 2022, with a completion date of Q4 2022 on the initial stage of the road corridor. The full master plan for the Airport Technology Gateway will come forward at a later date.
The Airport Technology Gateway is somewhat outside of the scope of the question, but Mr Moorhouse, for final supplementary.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and thank you, Minister. Beach buddies have a worldwide reputation for what the island have achieved, and yet foot passengers arriving or leaving the island today from the steam packet building will be horrified by the sight of old and rotting rubbish. Why is nothing being done about this? Thank you.
Chief Minister.
Mr Speaker, I wasn't aware exactly of where this rubbish is, but if the Honourable Member wishes to let me know specifically, I will speak to the Department for Infrastructure to establish why rubbish is present and hasn't been cleaned up.